Sergio Ferrari's moving now from touring cars and GT racing into single-seaters. She's not the only female racer on the grid, as I say, because the Colombian, Tatiana Calderon, for Double R Racing is there as well, as the cars now leave the line. This opportunity for the drivers, as you can see, Pascal Wehrlein vigorously weaving around to put warmth into the tyres. It is dry, a far cry from testing on Monday that was snowed off. It's very cold, though. Yesterday, glorious day for qualifying. It was nice and mild, it was sunny. Temperature's not that high today, but at least the track is dry, whereas tomorrow there's the forecast of pretty heavy rain. So let's see what the weather conditions have in store for the rest of the weekend and how that's going to affect race results. There's one car that's been very, very slow away, in fact, which is the Russian driver, Dmitry Soranovic, who has not exactly gone Russian off the line. He drives for Fortec, and he's very slow off the grid. He was penultimate anyway, but he probably will now have to start right at the very back, even behind Michele Ceruti, by dint of being the last away. A quick look at the qualifying times from yesterday, indicating that just 29,000 separated Pascal Wehrlein and Lucas Auer. Marciello lining up third, as we've seen. Blomqvist fourth. Tinknell, Cheever, Lynn, King, Hill and Van der Laar, the top 10. You can expect some very fierce fights amongst them. We got Mitch Gilbert's car 16th on the grid when we started our look at the cars, just to see who's below him. Pipo Derani, ex-British F3, Jan Mardenborough, British GT from last year, only his first season of racing last season, having won the PlayStation Academy. Nicholas Latifi, Lucas Wolf, then Roy Nissany, ahead of Antonio Giovinazzi, and he certainly is tipped as a star of the future. He's only had 8 car racing weekends prior to this, and learning hard about Formula 3. Sandro Zeller from the F3 Euro Series, and behind him, on the grid, is Andre Ruddersdorf, who was the winner last year, in fact, of the Austrian F3 Cup. So again, he's got knowledge of this type of car, even if he's not raced at this level before. Gary Thompson, moving from Japanese single-seater racing, Formula 3 and Formula BMW before that, is next on the grid. There's Spike Goddard, the Australian, moving from the national class of the British Championship into the Euro Series this year. Then is the Indonesian driver, Sean Galile, ahead of Tatiana Calderon, Dmitry Soranovic and Michele Ceruti to round out the grid. Lots of drivers with single-seater experience, lots with Formula 3 experience, quite a few rookies onto the grid as well. And it's going to make for a fascinating championship, that is for sure. And where better to start it all than here at Monza, which has delivered some tremendous single-seater races in the past. This should be no exception, as the field then weaves its way around this evocative circuit. Everywhere you look around Monza, there are echoes of its history. And as the drivers make their way from the Parabolica round onto the grid very shortly, the opening round of the FIA Formula 3 European Championship is going to be set for a very dramatic start, that's for sure. So the grid complete. Thankfully, nobody with any dramas. Although Soranovic was slow away, he is going to be able to join everybody else. And now the pole man, Pascal Wehrlein, starts to bunch up the field. He doesn't want to be sitting on the grid for too long. So he's now starting to just slow his pace a little bit and get everybody up behind him. Mücke Motorsport, Peter Mücke's team, vastly experienced, both in terms of Formula 3 and, of course, of the DTM. Lots of lessons have been learnt there. And Pascal Wehrlein, who, when he's not racing, is a big footballing and drumming and snowboarding fanatic. Began his racing career in karts back in 2005. He's been a former champion of the German ADAC Formula Masters, a runner-up last year in the Formula 3 Euro Series and 4th in the European Formula 3 Championship. So if he's going to end his Formula 3 career this weekend, he wants to do it, as I say, on the ultimate high. 3 race wins is the aim. Looking down into the pit lane, the team's huddled around the timing screens. They'll head for the pit wall once everyone's gone down to the first chicane and they're allowed onto the pit wall. They can see the screens and the data and hang out pit boards as needs be. And now you can see everybody making their way up towards the grid. And half of them will peel off to the right-hand side. It's a one-by-one staggered grid, Formula 1 style, of course, for F3. So Pascal Wehrlein and Lucas Auer at the front. Raffaele Marciello and Tom Blomqvist for the second row. Harry Tinknell, the best of the Brits on the grid. And Eddie Cheever Jr., still a bit quirky to think of him as an Italian rather than American, but that's how he wishes to be. And he's 6th on the grid ahead of 3 more Brits. Alex Lynn, Jordan King, Josh Hill and Dennis Van der Laar rounding out the top 10. As soon as the last cars, those of Michele Ceruti and Dmitry Soranovic, are in place, then the green flag will be shown at the back. The drivers will look towards the lighting gantry. And Soranovic, I think he's going to be allowed to take up his original grid position. And so he will slot in at the very back. Now, Marshall is there, ready. And go on, he says to Soranovic. Go on, bit more, that's it, onto your white line. Are we happy? No, he's not very happy, that Marshall. Wherever Soranovic has parked, that Marshall is not terribly convinced about, And now you want Michele Cerruti to do something as well. Oh, no, it's, in fact, Tatiana Calderon, who was slightly out of sequence, so she needed to go forwards to allow Cerruti to go forwards. Right now, he's happy. Now the green flag is shown. And now we can get set to go racing for the opening round in the FIA Formula 3 European Championship. The lights go out, the race underway, a slow start by Wehrlein, a tremendous start though by Raffaele Marciello, who splits the front row drivers. They're three wide going down towards the first chicane, and Marciello tries to work a way through and grab the lead. Has he done so as they head to the chicane? I think he has, and Wehrlein, who was a bit sluggish out of the blocks, he's going to be, what, third? No, second round the outside as Blomqvist locks up. One car up the escape road, two up the escape road, and there's contact in the background as well. Somebody's lost their front wing, so drama, perhaps inevitably at the first chicane, but a really, really good start by Raffaele Marciello as the cars work their way for the first time up through the Curva di Biasano, heading to the Lesmos for the first time. So Wehrlein second, trying to go defensive and hang on to that spot as they work their way up towards the second chicane. Up front then, Marciello, it is ahead of Wehrlein. Lucas Auer in third place, and there's more mayhem as more people get it all wrong, including there Pipo Derani, who's had a spin up the escape road at the chicane. We'll forget how the grid lined up because it is now looking very jumbled indeed. Marciello leading, Wehrlein is in second place, Lucas Auer third. Fourth is Blomqvist. Rosenqvist has made a good start to be fifth. Tinknell's gone backwards to be sixth. Buller seventh. Van der Laar up to eighth. Gilbert up to ninth. Really good first few corners. And then in 10th spot, Pipo Derani was running strongly until he had his spin as the cars now work their way down towards the Variante Ascari for the first time. Raffaele Marciello ahead of Pascal Wehrlein, and Lucas Auer is third. And there you can see him having to go defensive to keep at bay Tom Blomqvist. And then also the very spectacular Felix Rosenqvist behind him. Rosenqvist, somebody that we know has to make up a fair amount of places from his grid position already. Battered cars being cradled out of the way. So there might well be a yellow flag zone to greet the drivers down at the first chicane on the start of lap 2 as through the Parabolica for the first time they come. The top two getting away. Lucas Auer, who is in third spot, just looking as though he's holding up Tom Blomqvist a little bit. Blomqvist in turn has got Rosenqvist and Harry Tinknell tucked up behind him. Tinknell tries to dive out to the outside, but ahead of him Rosenqvist does likewise. Rosenqvist in the orange car is just about level with Blomqvist. On the inside comes Harry Tinknell, virtually three abreast as they went over the timing line, and Tinknell himself is under huge pressure now as well. Heading into the braking area, Tinknell does it. He goes through on the inside, moves himself past Blomqvist up into fourth position. Raffaele Marciello led at the end of lap 1 by half a second out of the first chicane then. Turns his way right and now gets the power down, trying to sprint away from Pascal Wehrlein, who is ruining that bad start. Lucas Auer hanging on to third place, but being the cork in the bottle a little bit, and that's what's prompted the battle behind him. And again, look at this, three abreast as they head up towards us. Tinknell versus Blomqvist. Blomqvist wants the place back, but he can't do it. Harry Tinknell defends well, and there's Rosenqvist up there as well in the orange car, looking for a way past them. Rosenqvist now tries to make his move on Blomqvist, can't do it. This is for 4th, 5th and 6th. They turn their way through the Lesmo curves into the pit lane. Josh Hill, a casualty of the opening lap, and one that we lost. In fact, we saw the car being craned out of the way. Was the Van Amersfoort car of Mans Grenhagen on the opening lap. Also in strife, I'm afraid, has been the Irish driver based in Japan, Gary Thompson. So at least 3 in the wars on the opening lap of the championship. Marciello ahead of Wehrlein then. In the first sector, he was quicker. In the second sector, he was a good bit quicker as we look at a replay of the start and just look at the way that Wehrlein bogs down. But Marciello out of the blocks in fantastic form. Dives for a gap in the middle, and he made it stick as well as the cars worked their way down towards the first chicane. Went straight through the middle and was able then to move across and defend from Lucas Auer, who made a good start, but it wasn't great. And then he was perhaps a little bit cautious into the chicane. So around the outside of him came Marciello. It was behind where it all kicked off, of course. Different angle, bodywork goes flying, rear wing ripped off one of the cars, and that's why the pit lane has become rather busy ever since. 2 laps in the book, and the gap is going up between Marciello and Wehrlein. Now it's 0.6 of a second between them. Lucas Auer running third, Tinknell is 4th, Blomqvist down to 5th, and Will Buller now up into 6th. While we were looking at the replays of the start, Buller has got himself past Rosenqvist. Felix Sarayas is up into 8th spot now. That means that down to 9th is Dennis van der Laar, and down to 10th has gone Jordan King. So having qualified reasonably well, Jordan King's race, I'm afraid, looks like it's unravelling a little bit. The cars work lap 3. No real surprise that Marciello has done the best lap of the race as battles rage on lower down the order. As I said, this is a circuit at which you can overtake in a Formula 3 car, and we've certainly had plenty of it thus far. And there's a lot of the race still to run. Alex Lynn for the Prema Powerteam, having also got caught up and delayed early on, running in 14th place, having qualified within the top 8. So Lynn disappointed undoubtedly with where he is now. 2 more races for the weekend in which he can try it to make good for his championship point score. The top 2 then, Raffaele Marciello for Prema Powerteam, ahead of Pascal Wehrlein for the Mücke Motorsport squad. The gap at the start of the lap was 0.6 of a second. Wehrlein to the eye looks a little bit nearer. The timing screen says that he was 0.3 quicker in sector 1, but a 10th slower in sector 2. So net, he has gained a fraction. Lucas Auer still hanging on to 3rd place. You can see how hard the drivers have to push through the Variante Ascari to get a good exit onto the straight down towards the Parabolica. And Pascal Wehrlein is not close enough there to make a move. Now, what about Lucas Auer? He was running in 3rd spot. Can he do anything about making progress from there? Blomqvist busy defending once again as out of the Parabolica they come, heading up towards the timing line. The end of lap 3 out of 19 in this first of the 3 races of the weekend. The gap has gone up, in fact, between the 2 leaders. Marciello to Wehrlein, it's up to 0.8 of a second. Lucas Auer is still there in 3rd place. Tincknell 4th. Blomqvist in 5th, but for how much longer? As they come down towards the first chicane, Blomqvist there, you can see in the Red Bull liveried car, has got right up behind him Will Buller. As I said before the race started, Will is not short on knowledge of this type of racing car. He's not short on racecraft either. He's done a bit of short oval racing in his early days. Came out of T-cars originally. And Buller now looking for a way past Blomqvist for 5th. Felix Rosenqvist, who was making progress and then slipped down a spot, is there behind them, but actually not staying with them. So Buller is the man to watch in the white car this time. The Nissan engine Dallara goes from one side of the road to the other. Blomqvist able to defend. And because they're battling now, so back onto terms with them is coming Rosenqvist. Will Buller has done, by the way, the best lap of the race. He did that last time, helped perhaps by getting a toe coming over the timing line. And a little bit ragged there was Blomqvist. The pressure starting to tell. Tom Blomqvist 4th on the grid, now running in 5th spot and having to work overtime to hang on to that. Now, Lucas Auer has just done the best of anybody in the first sector of the lap. That means that he's catching up onto the back of the 2 race leaders. The first sector takes you to the approach to that second chicane as Buller has a look on the inside of Blomqvist, thinks better of it and slots back in again. And Buller needs to get on with this because while he's being held up by Blomqvist, he's being caught as well by Felix Rosenqvist, and the last thing he needs is to have to defend. Josh Hill, by the way, back in the race. He is still on the lead lap, albeit the bulk of it adrift of the leaders, as now Buller dives to the inside, coming into the Parabolica, and he's gone through, and Rosenqvist now also tries to chance his arm on the inside. Can he do it? Not there. The gap not really evident for him, so Will Buller has gained a place. He's up to 5th and still making good progress, but what about Rosenqvist? Then in the orange car, he's in the draft of Blomqvist, coming over the line. Now, can he make a move on the inside, heading down towards the chicane? He thinks about it. He lines himself up to make that move. He's got the track position, has he? Just needs to brake as late as he dares. They're almost wheel to wheel as they get to the chicane, and he has gone through. Felix Rosenqvist then now up into the top 6, and Tom Blomqvist drops to 7th therefore, but he's trying to fight back. He comes much quicker out of the chicane. He's got the outside line. Can he go all the way around the outside here with Felix Auer joining in the battle as well? Blomqvist is still standing his ground. This is really brave stuff, but he's going to run out of road, and here comes Auer up on the inside line. They're 3 wide. In the middle, being squeezed, is Rosenqvist, who loses both places. And look at that from Sarayas round the outside. Then he makes a mess and goes too deep all over the curb. He loses 1 spot to Blomqvist, but he hangs on to keep at bay Felix Rosenqvist. Fantastic racing. Rosenqvist fights back on the inside. He retakes the place from Felix Sarayas now, and the shuffling could continue yet more because right up with them now is Jordan King. Fantastic stuff this. Tom Blomqvist may have lost a couple of places, but he wasn't going to take that line down, was he? So he battles his way back past the orange car in the hands of Felix Rosenqvist. Now, while all that was going on, look at the gap that Will Buller has pulled. He's just disappeared from them, but Blomqvist at least managed to get 1 place back, and Felix Sarayas got both places round the outside, but carried too much speed into that second chicane. Couldn't get the car slowed down in time, didn't go up the escape road, worked his way through the chicane, but was compromised in so doing, so he lost both the places he just gained. And Felix Rosenqvist, whatever he does, just cannot seem to make a place stick. He gains 1, then loses it again. He just can't really make progress. Now, this is where it all started, about half a lap before, going into the first chicane. So on the inside, Rosenqvist takes the place, but then Felix Sarayas gets this great toe, zooms around the outside of both of them, but runs too deep into the second chicane. Over the curb then, that compromises him. It was a good save that, rather than going up the escape road, he rattles over the curb. That delays him on the exit, and so he lost ground, and then he locks up going into the chicane, and he's got Jordan King almost touching him there as both of them went so deep into the first chicane. Tremendous racing all the way through the field. Marciello up front is a second clear now of Wehrlein, and Blomqvist is still busy defending from Felix Rosenqvist for that 6th place. where to look next. Let's try this battle between Blomqvist and Rosenqvist, because Felix, once again, he's going to try to make a move to the inside, but it does not work for him. The Swedish driver for Mücke Motorsport is trying as hard as he can. So too is Felix Tarajas, again riding the curb and off the road there. Look, is Andre Ruddersdorf. And that was not entirely down to him, was it? He got a tap going through that first chicane. Tatiana Calderon was up behind him when they went over the timing line. I think she was the aggressor. So Ruddersdorf might be able to rejoin from that, but being tapped into a spin. As meantime, Blomqvist, yes, there is indeed Andre Ruddersdorf rejoining. Blomqvist and Rosenqvist, 6th and 7th, still nose to tail. You still get the feeling that Blomqvist is on borrowed time because he just cannot shake off Felix Rosenqvist. But Rosenqvist is making heavy weather of getting by and staying ahead. In fairness to Tom Blomqvist, he is a very good racer, isn't he? We've seen that. He might lose a place, but he doesn't just give up straight away. He fought back, as we saw, and he retook it. Right, into the parabolica, nose to tail. This is the battle for 6th place. They're virtually nose to tail, and Rosenqvist needs a good run through the parabolica in order to try to get a toe coming over the line, in order to challenge down to the first chicane. Can he do so? 6 laps of 19 are done. Rosenqvist gets a toe from Blomqvist, who defends. He moves across on him, but Felix Rosenqvist keeps on coming. He's got the inside line for the chicane. He should be able to make the play stick this time. He's gone through. Now, what can Blomqvist do on the exit of the chicane to fight back? Through the right, through the left, and a big lock up there. Lucas Wolf gains a place, and in so doing, forces Dennis van der Laar up the escape road. That was all for 10th place. Lucas Wolf hangs on to it. Dennis van der Laar was the man that goes up the escape road. Gives the place back, I think. Yes, he did get ahead, but I think he's going to have to cede that place by dint of not using the full circuit there, by going up the escape road. Meantime, Rosenqvist, good news for him, has managed to fend off Tom Blomqvist for a couple of corners. And that should be enough now for him to be able to hang on to that place and, importantly, break away. Now, for 10th place, we've got this fight between Lucas Wolf and Dennis van der Laar. And Jan Mardenborough is up into 12th place behind them. Jan Mardenborough was a real star in GT racing last year. He was the winner of the Nissan GT Academy, the PlayStation Academy. And here, more drama going into the second chicane. And that, you can see, launching himself into the air, is Andre Giovinazzi. Goes bouncing up the escape road. That car is going to suffer damage as a result of that landing. And under investigation, we are told now, is Tatiana Calderon. That may well be for the bit of contact that turned Ruddersdorf around. So Calderon is under investigation as we work lap 7 here at Monza. We've not seen too much of Raffaele Marciello for a while, but he's still there, clearing the race lead ahead of Pascal Wehrlein. And in 3rd spot is Lucas Auer. Lower down, the battle we're looking at is for 10th place. Lucas Wolf at the head of it, ahead of Dennis van der Laar. Raffaele Marciello, with clear road ahead of him, continues to set best laps of the race. He's 11/10ths up on Pascal Wehrlein. As Wolf now goes over the line, Jan Mardenborough looking to try to get himself onto terms with and then attack for place Dennis van der Laar for 11th spot. Van der Laar pulls out of the draft, but it's actually going to be Mardenborough that loses out. Yes, because Mitch Gilbert goes past him. The Australian driver up now into 12th place. There's a driving standards flag also being readied for Antonio Giovinazzi, one of the more inexperienced drivers on the grid. And I suspect that's for exceeding the track limits rather than for reckless driving. The officials, understandably, want to make sure everybody stays within the white lines and doesn't use too much of the runoff. Now, this fight is for 6th spot. It is Rosenqvist ahead of Blomqvist. And again, Tom, even though he's lost a length, he's not giving up. Behind him, Felix Tarajas running in 8th spot. 9th, it is Jordan King. And he, in turn, is only 3/10ths adrift of the Puerto Rican. In the sectors on this lap, Wehrlein quicker in the first sector than the race leader, Raffaele Marciello, but it's just not enough to really bring him back into the equation. Jordan King, meantime, running in that 9th place, frustrated after qualifying better than that. And a replay here of Giovinazzi, almost banging wheels this time, with Sven Muller. Well, he forces a way past, gains the place, that gives him 15th. Lots of drivers in this, having a pretty busy morning. A lot of hard work to do the overtaking and to gain places. Now, the battle for 10th, for the moment, has just spaced itself out because Wolf has pulled away from van der Laar. And, of course, as we saw Mitch Gilbert get past Jan Mardenborough, so that would have just cost them a little bit of time against those ahead of them as well. Marciello, a second up on Pascal Wehrlein. Lucas Auer still running in 3rd place. In fourth, it is Harry Tincknell. Will Buller is fifth. Now, what are his lap times like? Last time, in fact, he dropped away from Tincknell. And Felix Rosenqvist is in sixth. As there is the race leader, Raffaele Marciello. Prema Powerteam, one of the top teams in European Formula 3 racing. And Wehrlein, even though he's not that far behind, is going to have to look to his laurels here because Lucas Auer is getting closer and closer all the time. And Lucas Auer then undoes some of the good work by rattling over the curb and just kissing the gravel there. But last lap through, Auer, there he is, did the fastest lap of the race. So he's certainly pushing hard, maybe too hard. You've just seen him make that mistake. But he can see Wehrlein ahead of him and he knows he's got a chance here of getting second place. He qualified second. He wants to race into that place as well. More drama from the chicane. Mitch Gilbert versus Jan Mardenborough go into the chicane and then battles continue behind them as Marciello then turns his way through the Variante Ascari. Pascal Wehrlein behind. The gap half a second between him and Lucas Auer at the start of the lap. Auer was faster in sector 1 but marginally slower in sector 2. In the background, Harry Tincknell using all of the curb and then some coming out of the Variante Ascari. And somebody else getting it all wrong through the Lesmo curves and bouncing through the gravel as the race leaders then power their way from the Parabolica up over the line. And I think now it's fair to say that Wehrlein is having to think about defending for that second place. And in so doing, Raffaele Marciello able to pull away. He's now 1.2 seconds up. It's 3/10 between Pascal Wehrlein and Lucas Auer. And this time, maybe there is a chance for Auer to make a move going down towards the chicane. Wehrlein sees it coming and darts across the road to defend. Into the first chicane they go. They're still nose to tail. Lucas Auer looking as though he's got the car speed here. And Pascal Wehrlein's send-off from Formula 3 doesn't look like it's going to net 3 victories after all, does it? Because he's going to struggle now to get back onto terms with Marciello. Nicholas Latifi, that was in replay, going way wide through the gravel. That causes him to tumble down the order. As there, round the outside, Auer has done it, going into the second chicane. He's finally managed to catch and then pass Pascal Wehrlein, who tried to make life as difficult as possible, but it's a Prema Powerteam 1-2 now. Raffaele Marciello ahead of Lucas Auer and Pascal Wehrlein. Is he getting a bit demoralised, or is the Mücke Motorsport car working less well as the race wears on? Everyone's pretty chuffed at Prema Powerteam, as you can understand. And straight away, look, Auer starts to gap Wehrlein. Let's have another look at how he did it. He's on the outside line, having got a toe coming up towards the chicane. Brakes late, he's able to chop across the front and take the place. So Lucas Auer then up into second position. He has done the fastest lap of the race. What are the chances, therefore, of him catching the race leader? Gerhard Berger's nephew then runs second. Former kart racer, winner of the JK Racing Asia Series. He drove in the Formula 3 Cup last year. He was in the Toyota Racing Series in New Zealand over the winter. He was third in that, so he's got lots of single-seater knowledge. There's another drama from Nicholas Latifi. This time, not the gravel, but the escape road. The Canadian is having a pretty checkered race here. So Lucas Auer, who, in terms of racing at this level, pretty inexperienced compared to some of those around him, be showing well, goes over the line. Now, the gap between the top two is 2 seconds. Bear in mind that Lucas Auer will have lost a little bit of time whilst trying to overtake Pascal Wehrlein. Wehrlein, though, coming back at him because he's got that toe coming over the start and finish line. And here, look, coming down towards the chicane, the battle between Rosenqvist and Blomqvist continues until they touch. Well, there's a spin, certainly for Rosenqvist, and I think Blomqvist may have tagged the back of him. Felix Rosenqvist was sixth. He's facing the wrong way, and it looks as though he may have stalled it. This is not becoming a good race for Mücke Motorsport, is it? Wehrlein, we know, has lost a place. Was there contact? Let's see. I think there was, yeah. Blomqvist brakes a little bit too late, just tags the back of Felix Rosenqvist, and that turns him around at the first chicane. It means that Sarayas and King are able to dive through, gain a place each. So big drama for Felix Rosenqvist. Didn't qualify as well as he wanted. He was making progress, albeit after a real struggle early on in the race, and now knocked into that spin. Lucas Auer is still not catching Raffaele Marciello, however. So even though he has got himself up into second place, he's got some time to find. In the second sector, he's found a little bit, 2/10. So he's getting there. But he's got to find 2 seconds before the end of the race. We're on lap 11 out of the 19 now. And car number 20, Tom Blomqvist, perhaps no surprise, under investigation. So the race officials want to have a look at that move once again. Just looked as though he missed his braking point a little bit. Braked too late, a bit too deep into the chicane. Touched the back of Felix Rosenqvist's car, turned him around. Blomqvist escapes, but Rosenqvist Most definitely did not. Marciello responding to the challenge of Lucas Auer by doing the best of anybody in the last sector. Then Auer goes even quicker in the last sector. So the gap is down to 1.9 seconds between them. Pascal Wehrlein is running in third. Harry Tinknell some way back in fourth. Will Buller trying to catch him fifth. New sixth place is Felix Tharias. And a drive-through penalty for Tom Blomqvist for pushing another car. Well, that, as we saw, was Felix Rosenqvist. So Blomqvist is going to be given a drive-through penalty. At the moment, he is in 8th place, but he's going to tumble a lot further down the order than that. So Blomqvist with a drive-through. He's got to serve that within 3 laps. And Pascal Wehrlein, interestingly, looks as though he's responding because now, as you can see, he's closed again on Lucas Auer. He's also done the best lap of the race. The gap between first and third, 2.4 seconds. Now, has Pascal Wehrlein got something up his sleeve here? Well, he needs to somehow find a way past Auer before he can even think about catching the leader. He was second, he's now down to third, but he is certainly responding. Best of anybody in the first sector of this lap, on top of the best lap of the race last time through. The race leader turns his way, Raffaele Marciello, through the Variante Ascari, still being pursued by Lucas Auer, who was quicker in sector 1, who was quicker in sector 2. Wehrlein, however, loses a bit of ground in the second sector. But now, of course, nice long straight down towards the Parabolica. He's inching up once again onto the back of Auer, into the long looping right-hander they come. Marciello, you've got to say, he's looking pretty good for a victory up front, barring a disaster. The gap is not a massive one, but as long as there's a fight behind him, that's going to take up attention. It's going to delay the 2 drivers involved. Is this the lap on which Blomqvist serves the drive-through penalty? The message is on the timing screens for the teams. He turns his way out of the Parabolica, heading up towards the pit straight. If he peels off to the right, then we'll know that it's going to be this lap that he will serve the drive-through. Felix Tharias then running in 6th spot. Jordan King 7th. Blomqvist carries on for another lap. He's 8th. Goes over the timing line, and ahead of him you can see King thinking about making a move against the Puerto Rican, but Felix Tharias was far enough ahead not to be under too much of a threat, but then he locked up coming down to the braking area. Behind them, another good fight here because Lucas Wolf, Alex Lynn, and then Dennis van der Laar are all battling, and it's Lynn who goes through up into 9th place, and poor old Lucas Wolf gets mugged well and truly. Van der Laar goes past him, and now Mitch Gilbert comes up to challenge as well in the orange car. He's on the outside and he gets squeezed. Elbows out stuff this, and it has to be from Lucas Wolf. If you make a mistake like that and you're compromised and there's a whole line of cars behind, you can lose place after place after place, and so he's got to try and defend as vigorously as he can. Gilbert comes up to the inside. There's Jan Mardenborough in this mix as well. Gilbert goes through. Wolf launches himself over the curb, skips the chicane. Is he going to come back on ahead of Gilbert? No, he drops back behind. He's going to drop also, I think, behind Durrani and Cheever as well. So loads of places lost by Lucas Wolf, having run well in the top 10 early on. In the space of half a lap, he has gone tumbling down the order. Lap 13 we are currently on here. And once again, Pascal Wehrlein quicker than anybody in the first sector as he tries to close on Lucas Auer and has done so by 0.3 of a second. Lucas Wolf, however, for him, this at the back of this train of cars we're looking at is the lap from hell. He comes into the Variante Ascari. There is Alex Lynn, delayed on the opening lap. Still trying to make amends for that. He has done so up into 9th place. Points scored in the top 10 only. All the races are of equal distance and therefore equal value in terms of points, not like the F3 Euro series when they used to have reverse grid races, for example. Down towards the Parabolica, Mitch Gilbert still trying to gain ground. Jan Mardenborough running with him. Cheever and Durrani fighting as well, and Lucas Wolf at the back of the queue now. 13 laps are done. Race leaders go through. 1.6 seconds it is between Marciello and Lucas Auer. Auer has just done the fastest lap of the race. Mitch Gilbert under huge pressure now. Jan Mardenborough goes to the outside line as they head down towards the chicane. Are they going to be level? Not quite. Gilbert's on the inside line. He should be able to hang on to that as ahead of them. Van der Laar goes up the escape road. Blomqvist has served his drive-through penalty, by the way, so that's just dropped him down the order. He goes now from pit out back onto the circuit, so Blomqvist is back in the race. We'll see where Blomqvist slots in at the end of this next lap as Gilbert is busy defending now from Jan Mardenborough. And there's also Cheever trying to get himself into this mix as well. Fantastic racing. Cheever in a big hurry. Remember that he qualified 6th. The Prema Powerteam driver was another to be delayed on the opening lap of the race. Pipo Durrani is also making his way through. Pipo, who drove in the British Championship last year, so he's got Formula 3 knowledge. And he too is working his way through the traffic now. Jordan King ahead of Felix Zaraeus as they dive through the Variante Ascari. He was getting closer and closer all the time. The gap was 0.3 of a second at the start of the lap, but he's made it stick now as the cars work their way down towards the Parabolica once again. Zaraeus fights back, round the outside, retakes the place. You see the benefit of the slipstream. So you win one, you lose one. Jordan King lined up for the inside line into the chicane. That worked perfectly. But Felix Zaraeus, as we saw Blomqvist able to do earlier on, gets straight back into the draft, uses that slipstream effect, and he's able to retake the place. And now this is the battle of the Brits. Tincknell versus Buller. Nose to tail, almost side by side into the first chicane. Buller looks on the outside line. He's done really well to close that gap. It was a pretty big gap earlier on. But Will Buller has worked his way now onto the tail of Harry Tincknell. Fourth place beckons for him, and still there are battles yet to be resolved as they come over the timing line. Gilbert losing out. Pipo Derani goes past him into the top 10. Real traffic jam of cars there going into the chicane. Inevitably, they don't all work through, and Buller goes ahead of Tincknell. Will Buller round the outside going into that second chicane. That's been a favoured overtaking place for many of them over the course of this first race, and Will Buller has done it. He's gone through. Harry Tincknell straight away, drops away. That Nissan engine car in the hands of Will Buller looking very strong now. He's 9 seconds away from the race leader, but Will Buller up into fourth. I think that is where the progress is going to end, though, looking at the gaps further up the road. That's the race leader. Lap 15, Raffaele Marciello, having rather dominated this race after that lightning start, makes his way down to the Parabolica. In second place behind him is Lucas Auer. The car at the head of that little train was Josh Hill, who's in danger of being lapped. Remember, he had to make that pit stop earlier on after damage. So down to the Parabolica they come. There is the leader. Marciello for the Prema Powerteam leads the way. He led onto this lap by 1.5 seconds, and he powers his way now up past the pits. Behind him, Lucas Auer was only 0.5 seconds ahead of Wehrlein, who has got the fastest lap of the race back. Earlier on, we were aware that there was Tatiana Calderon's incident with Andre Rudersdorf. That's been under investigation. The officials announced no further action, so they were content that was a racing incident, unlike the Tom Blomqvist situation. The Zaraeus King battle continues to battle on, nose to tail as they come over the line, and Jordan King thinks about the inside line. Felix Zaraeus has that covered as they go now down towards the chicane. On the outside is King. Does he break late enough? Yes, he does, to take the place. Good move, that. Up into the top 6 again goes Jordan King. He's been there before. Can he hang on to it now? The next battle that still needs resolving is that involving Mitch Gilbert as they come down through the chicane. And there, right with him, Jan Mardenborough gained the place and then loses it straight away to Lucas Wolf. He was just about ahead on the outside, then delays himself over the curb, and Lucas Wolf takes 12th place away. People say chicane spoil circuits. They certainly make for good races. Definitely around here. Raffaele Marciello, the race leader by 1.7 seconds, is on lap 16 out of the 19. And it's looking very good for him indeed, this. Behind, there is number 24, Lucas Auer, the orange car behind, this very distinctive new paint scheme for Mücke Motorsport, driven by Pascal Wehrlein. Very impressive in qualifying. He is, to be fair to him, recovering from the flu, and said even in qualifying he wasn't feeling at his best. He's still a little bit snuffly and a little bit achy and a bit jaded after the illness. Maybe that's having an effect. You'd have thought the adrenaline would compensate for that, but either way, Wehrlein's race, a little bit disappointing compared to qualifying, and Blomqvist very nearly gets his car tagged that time, going into the chicane. Latifi, once again, having dramas in this race, the Canadian. So Blomqvist, who early on tagged Rosenqvist, who did not rejoin, incidentally, into that spin. Currently in 20th place, Tom Blomqvist, after the drive-through penalty was served. Marciello, Auer, Wehrlein, the top 3. Buller 4th, Tincknell 5th, King 6th, Felix Zaraeus 7th, and not that time around being able to fight back. 8th over the line is Alex Lynn, 9th is Dennis van der Laar, and 10th is Pipo Derani. We've got 3 more laps to go in this opening round, and a very lively opening round it has been of the FIA Formula 3 European Championship. As there, Pascal Wehrlein works his way through the Lesmo curves. Here, however, Felix Zaraeus fights back against Jordan King, and Lucas Wolf is off into the barriers with real damage. Front wing ripped off, suspension broken by the look of it. And let's try and work out exactly how he did that. There's a car ahead that's slow coming out of the chicane, and there's contact. Oh dear, Wolf rather sandwiched in all of that. Off the road he goes, clatters his way into the barrier. Mardenborough and Cheever, I think he was sandwiched between. And so Lucas Wolf off into the barriers. And that, for sure, is the end of his race. Now, Felix Sarayes did get himself back past Jordan King. We saw the start of the move before we cut to the end of Lucas Wolf's incident. And this now means that once again, sixth is Sarayes. For how much longer, though? Because Jordan King is right with him. Through the chicane they come. Nose to tail still. And there, another car being pushed away is Mitch Gilbert's, I'm afraid to say, the Australian who was running pretty strongly earlier on, out of the race. Mücke Motorsport's car then eliminated at the second chicane. He locks up, he gets it all wrong. It was self-induced, that, I think. He goes up the escape road, but his foot's still on the brakes, and he just slides and slides and slides. Was that a puncture? Looking at the front right, just wonder whether that might have been a bit low, and perhaps that's what caused the drama for him. Mitch Gilbert is out of the race, and that means, along with Lucas Wolf, that we've got a yellow flag situation within the first sector. But I think it might well have been a tyre that caused that drama for Gilbert. As you can see, Felix Sarayes hanging on to his 6th place. So with Gilbert gone, that means now, and also Lucas Wolf gone, that Cheever runs 10th, Pipo Derani is in 11th, Sven Müller is 12th, and then up now into 13th place is Antonio Giovinazzi. That's Jan Mardenborough's car as well being pushed away. So he, I think, perhaps also was a casualty of the incident with Lucas Wolf. There's an awful lot happening in this. And it's not done yet, is it, for 6th place? Because even though Felix Sarayes, who is now on his penultimate lap, has fought his way ahead of Jordan King, King is right there on his tail once again, and he's not giving up, that's for sure. We know that King can attack on the way down towards the Variante Ascari. That perhaps is what he's thinking about doing on this lap, but is he near enough to make that move? I'm not convinced he is. He's about 2, maybe 3 lengths too far back. Here they come. The track rises, they swing left, then right, then left again. And even if King can't attack there, and we've seen that he's a bit too far back, if he gets a good exit from that chicane, he might be able to make a move through the parabolica. That's why we lost Jan Mardenborough, because the car reached the front wing. Wing ripped off, and so Jan Mardenborough in his first Formula 3 race, not his first single-seater race, because he also did the Toyota Racing Series over the winter, but his first Formula 3 race ends in retirement, as there the leader locks up, going down towards the first chicane. Now, Raffaele Marciello is not the time to start making tiny errors. He's got one more lap in a race that he has dominated. Pascal Wehrlein from pole has done the fastest lap, but the important bit that gives you the 25 points for the championship looks like it's going to go the way of Raffaele Marciello. Auer second, Wehrlein third, Buller fourth, Tinknell fifth, Sarayes sixth, only just ahead of Jordan King. So Raffaele Marciello then, for the final time in this first of the 3 races this weekend, powers his way through this fabulous, historic Monza Park circuit. The man who was born in Zurich dominates the race at the chicane. They're still having dramas. Sven Müller there, recovering after a spin. And how did all that kick off? Giovinazzi has a look to the inside. Bang, contact. Müller tagged into it. Round he goes. Giovinazzi gains the place. And Müller bounces the car over curb and over more curb. And Giovinazzi didn't gain the place very long, did he? Just slides into Müller, brake far too late, knocked him into the spin. And I think there, as the gap suddenly closed, Giovinazzi stood on everything and stalled the engine. So Marciello, he lives in Maranello these days, a fine place for a racing driver. Comes down towards the parabolica. Ex-Formula Abarth racer, drove in Italian Formula 3 2 years ago in the European Championship and the Euro Series last year. And he's going to start his FIA Formula 3 European Championship campaign in fine style. The checkered flag falls. It's a win for Raffaele Marciello here at Monza as he comes across the line. It's a 1-2 for Prema Powerteam, as well as Lucas Auer takes second, and third, Pascal Wehrlein for Mücke Motorsport, in perhaps a race that should have been a whole lot better. Had he made a better start, it may have been a victory for him, but he was always on the back foot, having been a bit sluggish off the line. For 4th place, Will Buller. Really good drive that by Will, having started 12th on the grid, up to 4th. Harry Tinknell takes 5th, Felix Sarayes 6th ahead of King, Lynn, and then for 9th and 10th, it should be Van der Laar ahead of Cheever as the teams cheer home their drivers. Van der Laar is 9th, Eddie Cheever Jr. for 10th, Pipo Derani 11th, and then 12th, which was being fought out between Giovinazzi and Müller, goes the way of Müller despite that last lap spin. So he started at 12th, he finished the lap 12th. That was a pretty good save in a sense, given that at one point it looked as though he might not be able to recover. Marshall's collecting bits of bodywork. It has been lively, dare one say a rowdy, first round of the championship. But for Raffaele Marciello, he probably has had the calmest race of anybody. He wins in the end by 2 seconds. And once he got that great start to bag the race lead, he was barely troubled at all. He's savouring the moment on this slowing down lap. 2 seconds the margin. And in the end, Pascal Wehrlein settled rather for third place. He was a further 3 seconds back to Lucas Auer. Now, number 17, which is Giovinazzi, has just, it says on the screen, been given a drive-through penalty for pushing another car. Now, bearing in mind that there he is, no longer in the race, and that the race is finished, then let us see what, if anything, is going to happen about that penalty. It seems a rather superfluous one, given that he's not in the race that has now finished anyway, but it's literally just come on the timing screen. Drive-through penalty, pushing another car. Hey-ho. He knows he's in hot water, if anything, for the aggression.